Bienvenidos. Es un gusto para la Embajada tenerlos aquí y poder realizar este taller sobre violencia en relaciones cercanas y centros de crisis como herramienta de ayuda. En la Embajada pensamos que es un tema muy importante, muy sensible y en ese sentido agradecemos mucho la colaboración que pudimos establecer con diferentes instancias, en primera instancia con la red de Mexicanos en Noruega, el capítulo Noruega, con la Asociación Mexicanos en Noruega, obviamente con el Oslo Krisesenter. Agradecemos mucho la participación de la señora Bernstein y pues básicamente lo que haremos es tratar de dilucidar la mejor forma de abordar el problema, tratar de abrir las puertas a sus preguntas y pues básicamente le cedería la palabra en primera instancia al embajador para que inaugure el evento y posteriormente pasaríamos con los ponentes, sin antes dejar de cederle la palabra a Linda Aguilera, presidenta de la red global, para que haga la presentación más minuciosa de cada uno de los ponentes. Muchas gracias y bienvenidos nuevamente. Embajador.
Muchas gracias, muy buenas tardes. Agradezco la presencia de todos ustedes aquí. Entiendo que el evento tendrá subtítulos. Hence, I apologize to those who do not speak Spanish. En primer lugar, al agradecer su presencia, quiero subrayar la importancia, como había comentado el ministro Juan Alberro, la importancia que damos y concedemos al tema de violencia en espacios cercanos, la violencia doméstica. Es un tema que ha captado nuestra atención por dos razones, es decir, ha incrementado su visibilidad últimamente por dos razones principalmente. La primera, como resultado o como uno de los productos de la pandemia, vimos que empezaba a registrarse un mayor número de casos y eso pues terminó por prender más las alarmas. Pero en segundo lugar, porque hemos advertido y lo hemos platicado entre otros con nuestros amigos de Mexicanos en Noruega y otras organizaciones, hay un fenómeno que llamo yo fenómeno fantasma y radica en este abuso de las disposiciones legales en el ámbito noruego cuando una persona viene llegando a Noruega. Y tristemente no se sabe del caso hasta que se presenta. No hay forma de poder prevenir más que por vía de la información. Y por eso celebramos mucho la celebración, festejamos mucho la celebración de este tipo de oportunidades para poder abordar conjuntamente este reto que tenemos enfrente. La Embajada de México ha venido dando estrecho seguimiento, particularmente en el marco de su estrategia integral consular, a través de la cual buscamos estar cerca de la comunidad mexicana, estableciendo lo que hemos denominado enlaces comunitarios. Tenemos 8, gentilmente con el apoyo de voluntarios que se prestan para estar fungiendo como contacto entre entre la Embajada y la comunidad mexicana. Hemos tratado también de fomentar la relación con organismos no gubernamentales en el terreno, como Krisesenter, como Caritas, como YURC, como Save the Children. Hemos también, entre otros por supuesto, hemos tratado de establecer contactos y relaciones de trabajo con organismos internacionales como la Organización Internacional de las Migraciones y por supuesto extendiendo nuestra red de apoyo legal y también psicológico. Todo esto con un enfoque preventivo, proactivo, que nos permita pues, evitar que se generen este tipo de situaciones de violencia y o cuando se presentan poder resolverlas con toda agilidad. Una parte fundamental de todo este esfuerzo, repito, es trabajar de la mano con la comunidad mexicana y yo nuevamente celebro mucho que la iniciativa de la Red Global MX, muchas gracias Linda, Mexicanos en Noruega, con quien tenemos también un proyecto que no se me olvida, lo tenemos pendiente en este tema, Y bueno, ya regresaremos con la audiencia para informar más sobre este proyecto. No quiero dilatar más, solamente agradecer la presencia de Christine. Thank you very much for being here, Christine, and sharing the experience with us. We've been working quite closely with you. We have one particular case, very complex one, but a very successful one that ended up in a happy ending, as they say. But that helped us to come up with lessons learned, and hopefully, probably not this year because this is running out of time, but probably next year we'll be able to organize yet another seminar in order to share the lessons that we learned from cases like the one we had in Frederiksberg. I appreciate also recognize the presence of Caritas. Thank you very much for being here. So, without further ado, me gustaría pasar la palabra de nuevo a nuestro moderador. ¿Quién sigue? Sería Linda. Por favor.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Linda Sicilia. Yo vengo representando a la Red Global. La Red Global, estamos en 34 países en diferentes partes del mundo, 17 en Europa. Y bueno, nuestra misión es enforzar la colaboración entre México y Noruega. El día de hoy, para nosotros es muy importante este tema, es un tema delicado, pero bueno, queremos contribuir a informar a la comunidad respecto a cómo pueden prevenir estas situaciones o qué pueden hacer, qué herramientas pueden usar en caso de estar en una situación como esta o que conozcan a alguien que esté en una situación como esta. Estamos muy contentos de poder haber colaborado con la Embajada de México, con el Centro de Crisis en Oslo y también con Mexicanos en Noruega, que estuvieron muy atentos todos a colaborar y es por eso que se puede hacer posible este evento. Entonces, les paso la palabra para que hablen de Mexicanos en Noruega.
Muchísimas gracias, yo soy Renato Miranda, espero que algunos ya me conocen, algunos no. Primero que nada, gracias a la Embajada por ofrecernos y darnos el espacio. Gracias a los que están aquí presencialmente y a los que nos están viendo, que esperemos que este mensaje en verdad llegue a mucha gente. Es un tema muy importante en el cual agradezco a Linda, Red Global, por acercarse con nosotros, que por ahí ya nosotros también teníamos una idea, como les había comentado igual el embajador. Estamos empezando, esta puede ser una primera parte para algo más grande que podamos hacer después. Y muchísimas gracias también a mi nueva compañera, nuestra nueva colaboradora en Mexicanos en Noruega, Fernanda. Muchísimas gracias. Pues nada, aquí estamos. Lo más importante para Mexicanos en Noruega es apoyarnos entre todos y dar información y que salga hasta donde pueda.
Y algo que también quiero comunicar es que todo el material que tengamos el día de hoy, Mexicanos en Noruega, lo va a utilizar y va a tener en su canal de YouTube un video en el cual todas las personas pueden accesar a esta información, las personas que no pudieron estar con nosotros el día de hoy, y también va a estar en Spotify como podcast. Entonces, pues, la información va a estar para todos disponible. Y ahora vamos a continuar con un video por parte de Adriana Ruiz. Adriana Ruiz es una mexicana que vive en Kristiansand. Ella se dedica a las ciencias políticas. Ahora ella es candidata a la vicealcaldía por el Partido Laboral en Kristiansand. Y ella nos nos comparte este mensaje que es respecto a cuál es la situación de violencia actualmente en Noruega.
Hola amigos, mi nombre es Adriana Ruiz. Soy mexicana, pero llevo más de 15 años viviendo aquí en Noruega. Aquí estudié mi maestría en Ciencias Políticas y llevo años trabajando en diferentes sectores. También estoy entregada a la política local. Soy candidata como vicealcalde en el Partido de Labor para Kristiansand. En el 2015 viajé a Bruselas para hacer las investigaciones de mi maestría, la cual trataba sobre el acuerdo global entre la Unión Europea y México y qué impacto tuvo esto con los derechos de la mujer. A partir de este momento he aumentado mi dedicación al tema de la erradicación de la violencia de género y la violencia en relaciones cercanas. ¿Y por qué es así? Bueno, yo considero que esto es una obligación, porque para mí la violencia de género, la violencia en relaciones cercanas es un problema de la falta de igualdad, de la falta de confianza institucional, de la falta de medidas y de la falta de recursos para poder combatir este problema. La violencia en relaciones cercanas es un problema a nivel mundial. Existe en México, en Estados Unidos, en Nicaragua y en Noruega. Por eso la ONU le llama una pandemia. Y es claro que la gravedad varía de lugar a lugar, de región a región, pero en ningún lugar estamos libres de este problema. También pasa aquí en Noruega. Por ejemplo, en el 2020 fueron denunciados aproximadamente 20,000 casos de violencia en general. De estos, 3,290 son relacionados con violencia en relaciones cercanas. Las víctimas de estos casos varían de 20 a 70 años y las estadísticas nos muestran que la mayoría de las víctimas son mujeres. Hasta este año van 8 personas que han sido asesinadas como a resultado de violencia de pareja. En el 2020, la Comisión de Prevención de Asesinatos de Pareja presentó un reporte para combatir este tema. Estas recomendaciones están siendo seguidas por el gobierno actual. Hace un par de semanas se anunció que se aumenta el presupuesto con más de 30 millones de coronas a esta causa. Además, ya está lista la confirmación del establecimiento de una comisión de asesinatos en relaciones cercanas para poder trabajar más holísticamente junto con la policía, los centros de refugio y los centros de salud, así como está recomendado por diferentes expertos. Yo creo que esto es importante y es un paso muy importante. También creo que los centros de salud deben de tener una perspectiva más multicultural para poder trabajar con este tema. Y creo que la cooperación entre la policía, los centros de salud y los centros de refugio tiene que aumentar. Combatir la violencia de género y la violencia en relaciones cercanas no solo es obligación del gobierno, también es nuestra obligación. Necesitamos tener más información de qué servicios hay disponible en caso de necesitar ese tipo de ayuda. También necesitamos ser parte de campañas de sensibilización y necesitamos saber ¿qué podemos hacer en caso de que veamos o seamos testigos de un caso de violencia en relaciones cercanas? Por eso agradezco a la Red de Noruega, a la Embajada de México en Noruega y al Centro de Refugio en Oslo por esta invitación el día de hoy y por tener este evento para poder informarnos un poco más sobre este tema. Muchas gracias por la invitación.
Y ahora vamos a continuar con Kristin, así que cambio inglés. Yeah. So, Kristin, thank you so much for the collaboration with us. Kristin has education as a social worker and has experience over 20 years within this topic. And she will give us information about what is violence, the type of different violence that we can find, and how the crisis centers can help us.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Shall we just start with the first? Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if I should do like this.
You feel more comfortable.
I have an extra over here. I can do like this, and I like to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It is very good for us to reach out because domestic violence or violence in close relations, as we like to call it, is a huge problem in Norway. It's a huge problem in all kind of society, in all kind of environments, in all kind of different family classes, class backgrounds, cultural, economical, religious. The violence in close relations are all over in our community. My name is Kristin, I'm a social worker and I've worked on the field for many years because in Norway we call it a field field of violence. And we cooperate with so many organizations, and now we are very happy to meet you. And we also visit embassies and other organizations. For the topic, I think we know that Norway is the only country so far which has a crisis center act. We have a law on violence in close relations. So I think crisis centers, shelters, they are spread all over the world, but Norway, we are good with the system. We put it in the law, and this law from 2010 kind of regulates what a crisis center offer should be. And in 2010, many things happened on this field I'm working at, because it's not very interesting for you, but it's one thing which is interesting ideologically and also to kind of change our way of working, thinking. Before it was partner violence, it was violence from a man towards his wife. So the shelters and the crisis center, they had lots of help for women and their children. And 2010, we also have a crisis center for men and men with their children. Because men, they also get abused. They also experience domestic violence, violence in close relations. And in Norway, we know that 1 out of 10 women, they experience, this severe violence, this violence which is really harmful, which is you can die with. And men, they experience like 2%. So what I'm saying here is that violence in close relations are a huge problem in our society, and it's mostly women who are affected, but also men. Not that many, but there are also men. And we think that for a man who are experiencing violence, living with violence in a relation, it's much harder to ask for help, it's much harder to come forward, and it's harder to address it. It's taboo, and at least in Norwegian culture, it's the woman who is actually asking for help for herself, or for her children, or for her husband, or for women in Norway. Traditionally, we are taking care of the relations. So the men, they don't address problems the same way. So we think that there are more men affected by this problem than the numbers are showing. Yeah. This law, I don't need to tell you so much about it, it's not interesting. But you need to know that all municipalities all over Norway, they should give a crisis center offer. So, Norway is kind of a, small big country, but we have many small municipalities, we have small cities, so sometimes 3 big cities, they go together and have one shelter, for example. But anyway, anywhere you are in Norway and you are in need of a crisis center, the municipality should advise you and show you where to find it. So it's a right everyone in Norway have. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit more about how to get help from the crisis center in the end. Yeah. Domestic violence, violence in close relations. Before it was men's violence towards women, and then it was family violence, domestic violence. Now we like to call it violence in close relations, because that is the issue here. It's close, and it can be a spouse, it can be your partner, it can be your ex, it can be your mother, it can be your uncle, it can be your sister, your brother. The point is there's someone close to you. So this violence is so much different from the violence committed by a stranger that can be very serious and very dangerous, but still it is a stranger. If you get attacked in the park, it's a stranger. You can hate him or her. But in a relation, maybe you have love for each other, or you at least had some love. You are dependent on each other. Maybe you have children together, families. Yeah. So it's complicated, and in these relations there are violence, but there are also so many other things. Yeah, and when we talk about violence or read the word violence, we immediately think there's something physical. Violence is physical, right? Which it is, and it's it can be very serious physical violence, and it can be very mild, like slapping. It doesn't hurt you, it can be humiliating, and it's everything in between. So we're talking like violence you can die of, and a slap which can be, maybe doesn't even affect you, but usually when people ask for help and it's been physical violence, it's a lot in between. So it's serious, it's not so serious, but it is easy to identify physical violence. Everyone kind of know it's wrong. It's physical power. So if you tell your doctor or your family or your mother that your partner is beating you, you get a reaction, get away. Even if it's easy to identify, it's not easy to talk about. It's very taboo. Especially in Norway, because we have this equality and we don't need to be in relations like that, but still we are. So, but for us working on the field, it's the psychological violence which is the tricky one and the dangerous one, and the violence which is so difficult to understand and to address. And if you are a victim of it, you don't understand it yourself. There is something wrong, it's a problem, we say. But psychological violence is any kind of pressure, power to prevent you to do something you want, or stopping you from something you want, or pushing you to do something you don't want. Does that make sense? So it can be anything. It can be threats, it can be control, but it can be like jealousy, but it can be also like you manipulate you, anything negative in a relation. And if this is repeat, this neglect, can it be violence? No, not really, but yes it can. So to understand psychological violence, we need to go into this relation and look at who's got the power there, who is in control and who is just not following, but who is defining the rules and the other one is following. I just had to adjust to make it peaceful. And does that make sense also? Yeah, good. In my job we have courses, seminars. We can talk about this for hours and hours and hours and hours. So I cannot give you a really good definition of psychological violence. And I just want you to know that this can be kind of anything negative, and it's the pattern, it's the process, it's the ongoing nagging. If that's the clue in this relation which matters. So if you meet someone and she says. Or he says that my partner is calling me bad names all the time. It makes me so sad. It doesn't sound very serious. We can say, just call him something back. But usually when someone is telling someone you don't know, you meet him or her somewhere, and she's saying that, just go into it. Ask what is he saying? Why does this make you so sad or so scared or whatever? Because no, I actually not. I don't have the time to go into it. But this is a really tricky one, and people, men and women who are experiencing this, they cannot put words on it, and it's starting really slowly, and it's developing very slowly. So it's kind of bad words or threats or control becomes very normal. So you think it's normal, you think that this is how a relationship is. I'm reacting, I don't like it, but it's me. I need to try to adjust a little more. Sexual violence is very difficult for victims to talk about, and I think when it comes to sexual violence, we are still in relationships or in a relation here. We think about rape and physical kind of abuse, physical beating and then raping. But I think, or we know that when we talk about relations, it doesn't look like that. It's more kind of a pressure or force or press him to do things sexual he doesn't really want, but he doesn't say no either. It's also a tricky one. But if we think about psychological violence and sexuality, then it makes sense. It's very easy to make you feel stupid or humiliate you sexually, because then we are vulnerable. And even if you are in a relationship and there is much violence there, the sexuality will be affected somehow. So just to open up. Material, economical violence, easy to understand. It's all kind of break things to make noise or ruin something to hurt him or her, family photo, wedding photo, burn it or cut up her favorite dress, or it's so easy. Hurt your partner, and economical violence also when we are living together or we are close, we know each other's personal numbers, we can, take up debt and we can buy things online. There's so much we can do. And economical violence, I think it's very common. It's very, very common, and it's not so much talked about as violence. And the problem is that it's very difficult to get any help, because if my partner had taken a lot of debt behind my back, credit cards, and if we have a split up and I tell the bank of my MasterCard that it's not me, no one will believe me, or even if they do, the creditors, they always want their money somehow. So it's difficult to kind of clean up after economical violence. It leaves you in a kind of mess, and sometimes it's not your fault, but still you need to carry the burden. And we can see that in Norway, economical violence is quite common in some families, some extended families, for example. You have families, and one is here in Norway on family reunion. If all the income and all the money for the kids, whatever, it goes into one bank account, usually the the man, the husband, and he is in charge of the money. It's no problem if you know you have a discussion which money should go where. But we see that sometimes in our cases, this man, he spends the money on, I don't know, drinks, playing, games, women, and the wife and the children, they don't have anything. Or it's up to him, it's up to the father, if we shall eat today, or if we shall not eat today, or how much we should eat, and etc. Latent violence, I don't know if that makes sense in English, but it's kind of violence which is there all the time. When men and women are coming to us, they don't say that they have experienced violence, because violence is something that happens to you in the street or in the park or something. They tell us that they have lots of problems. I have problems in my family, I have problems in my relation, I have problems with my ex. People call it problems. And our job is to kind of sort out, is it physical, is it psychological, how serious is it? When people are coming to us, it's usually very, very serious. Think about, always know that people are talking about problems, they don't talk about violence, as long as it is not physical and very serious. Then it's violence. But when a person is in a relationship and is experienced some of this, quite often a pattern over quite some time, we can say that this family or this relation is a violent one. Different degrees, of course. And everyone in this family is affected. So the traditional way of seeing it, you know, the father beats the mother, and then the children, they're not beaten. They are victims too. In this system, everyone is affected very negatively, and especially with children. And before we didn't think like that. We didn't acknowledge children in the family as victims of domestic violence, but everyone do that now. So then we can say that violence is latent, it's there all the time, but not just when it happens, you have an episode, but it is after and it is before, and it's very stressful. It's very stressful, everything, you know, between the actually episodes. Yeah. And the systems in Norway, the police and they acknowledge this now, that it's not only the events and only the episodes, it's everything in between. That's what we call the violent regime. And violence can also be unrelated, and it can be human trafficking. Human trafficking is kind of different, unrelated. It's for us same as domestic violence, violence in close relations. In Oslo Krisesenter, we have quite some. We have many. They are youngsters, but they are more than 18, between 18 to 25, and they have experienced violence from their families, not from the partners, but from mother and father, and it can be unrelated. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. Anyone want to say something about this? I see that I forgot to mention one thing which is important, and that is all the violence which is on social media, digital violence. because that's a kind of violence which is really, of course, growing, especially among youngsters, younger teenagers. They are on social medias, and of course they can hack each other and they can do lots of harm. But in a close relation, we see it as a pressure, as a kind of psychological violence to make her stay with me. I have some pictures of you. If you leave me, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to send them to your father or your friends or all over, and they do so. It really happens, we are so much more aware of this kind of violence now than just a few years ago, and also the police and the lawyers, because we can see that this can be very serious, and it's really growing, and it really works. And all kind of violence in a relation is working. It is smart. A partner who wants to control his or her partner will use the kind of, you wouldn't call it violence either, but will use these buttons. I know you, I know how to make you happy, how to make you feel scared, how to make you feel stupid. And in a relation, if the perpetrator is pushing the same button, I want you to feel very stupid and ugly, and I do that all over every day. Because it works, then he or she will do it. That makes sense? Maybe not. I don't think I described that very good. No, I don't think I did. But it is what I'm trying to say, that, yeah, I can give you an example. If I have a friend, one of my best friends, and she's from Morocco. I'm from Norway, as you can see, and she's from Morocco. And if her partner called her a whore, she will be very, very mad, very angry. This is the worst thing anyone can tell her, and if her partners tell her that, she will react. And if my partner told me so, I would laugh, called me a whore. So I would really laugh. Prostitute, but so it's not. It's a culture kind of thing, can be, but it can also be just because me and my friend we are so different. So of course it wouldn't work with me. It wouldn't work to call me a whore, but it will work with my friend somehow. So of course my partner, if he wants me to feel angry or he wants me to feel small after an argument, he wouldn't scream to me that word. My partner will ignore me, because that's what's hurt me, to be ignored, rejected and ignored. And if my partner do that to me every time I try to say something, try to have a real conversation with him, and he will just overlook me, and that's something I get used to. That will work on me, really. Violence can be so much, as you can see, and it's very individual how we react on it. But when we meet people in Oslo Krisesenter, they have experienced much of this. And they don't call it violence. So, this is also Krisesenter, and this is how we do the Krisesenter law, how we solve it. We have a hotline 24 hours. We do counseling 24 hours. And we also do counseling in our office. We do more counseling, I think, in our office, and we do by the phone, because what we really want is when people are calling us, and we understand very quickly that this is a problem, and it is kind of in a relation or an ex-relation. We will ask the person to come to us, to have a conversation there, because it's very, very difficult to talk about difficult things on the phone. Yeah. So we give assistance to contact the support system, and we do legal aid. It's very important for you to know. We have safe and free temporary housing. If you are in need of protection, you can stay with us temporarily until we find a better place. To be in need of protection can be, I'm living with my partner, and in my home I am abused. I experience psychological violence in my home with my partner. Then I can have a safe temporary place to stay. So with protection, it doesn't mean, we don't mean protected from someone is after you. We are in Oslo, and if you are in a family in Oslo and there is violence in your home, you don't have another apartment to move to the same day, or you don't want to go to your family, maybe you don't want to go to your friends. And even if you have friends or family which know about the situation, in Oslo we have small flats and small houses. We don't have lots of space, so we will feel like a burden if we move into our sister or mother, or yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that it's easy to get a temporary place to stay with us. And we do follow-ups, different kind of follow-ups for the people who have stayed in our place, in the shelter. We do lots of practical helps, and we have seminars, and we have courses. Can you just go back here shortly, because I want to say something about this legal aid.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I hope you understand that if you have a problem, or you know about someone who's having a problem and it is in relation, and maybe it's violence, but you're not really sure, I have some problems, but it makes me sad, or it makes me scared, or whatever. We have a low threshold, so it's very okay to give us a call, make an appointment. We come to us, and we are going to make people talk. We ask questions and try to map out how this situation is for you. And we what we do most is to give information about rights, possibilities, and we cooperate with very, very, very good lawyers. I mean, lawyers which are so good when it comes to domestic violence. And everyone who is coming to us and need help, there is some violence, but that violence affects so many other things. It affects the economical situation. If I leave her, where shall I go? Do I have any rights? Do I have social, economical rights? Staying permit? I'm here on a visa, a family reunion visa. What will happen to me if I divorce him? So we connect with our, we get money, quite some money to pay for this legal aid. So we can offer anyone an hour with one hour with one of our lawyers, totally for free, just to get a legal view. And there are so many people in Oslo that didn't know about this. So this is just to spread it out. And of course, if you are in many have rights for more legal help than just this 1 hour, but it's a very good start for the lawyer to map out if there's anything more you can get. And if there isn't, you can come and you can have a conversation with us. We put you in contact with the lawyer, and then you're free to go. It doesn't mean that now I'm going to move into the shelter, or now I need to leave my wife. We don't push anyone to leave anyone. We just want people to make choices based on the right information, because we see that people in both men and women in relations which are violence, they don't have the right information about the possibilities. So we want to give that information, and then this person choose. We have this confidentiality, which is really, really restricted, and that means that when you contact us, we don't involve the police or other helping systems if you don't want to, because we are not the police, we are not Barnevern, we are not NAV, we are paid from the government, we are a part of Oslo Kommune, but still we are on our own. We have our own rules, and we are open 24/7. And every service we give is free of charge. So if you come to us for 10 conversations and you need a translator and a lawyer, it's all for free, always. And if you stay in our shelter, it's of course it is for free. And like I said, you don't need a referral to come to us. You can just take, you can just call us, make an appointment. And we have courses and seminars, and some of this are drop-in concept. We believe in drop-in. I'm sure Caritas does also. Yeah. And women and men are not same located. We have one crisis center for men, and we have one crisis center for women. That's security reasons. That's what the government and the law says. They don't want couples to meet or to find each other. And the interpreters, of course, we use if that is necessary, and that's our telephone number and our website if you want to read more. We Oslo Krisesenter, we are quite big. We have a big institution. There are many people working there, and we are reaching out quite good. We have, I think, between 2,000 and 3,000 men and women are in contact with us every year. So that is many. But that also means that if it takes me like 10 years, how many thousands? There are thousands and thousands. And of course, it's only a small part which actually come to us. So it's a problem with violence in families and relations. That was
thank you so much. It was very informative, and you gave us information that many of us maybe didn't know. Like, for example, the legal and then free of charge. And I don't know, as a foreigner, sometimes we don't really know all the rights that we have in Norway. So it's very important for us. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And Norwegians, they don't know these rights either. No.
So it is, very important. And now Renato and Fernanda are going to ask you some questions that were important from the community. So
we are in social media, you know.
Yeah.
So we invite people free to send some questions that they have about this. But I think so you explained everything already.
Okay.
But they will see this episode in another time, so it's good to ask you. So I think so for the link we can start with this one.
Okay, so apparently there are many cases of people meeting Norwegians in mobile apps, or maybe they go to Mexico and they start a long distance relationships. So everything is very good when it's on app or on vacations, but when Mexicans migrate to Norway, things can become different. So then, what is like the main red flags that we as foreigners coming to a new country can we take like even before moving here?
Oh, it's a very different questions. I think in the beginning of all relations, long distance or not, because we like this person so much and we are in love, and it's very, very easy to ignore maybe these small signs. I think the red flags are, it's difficult to define them because the violence never starts with something serious. Because if it starts with some really bad words and a smack, you will just leave this person straight away, same day, and it will never be a relation. So it starts with very small incidents, I think, and it develops slowly with small incidents. And I think the only thing I can say is that if you meet and fall in love, and there's something you don't like, some behavior which makes you wonder, but it's not really serious, but it makes you wonder, and it gives you a bad feeling here, something here or something in between here. Just stop and at least think about it, address it, try to figure it out, talk to this man or woman you are so much in love with, and see what kind of reaction you get then if you kind of try to address it. It's vague. I know, it's very vague.
If I may jump in this question, because this is a very important one. I would recommend that we must be aware of the legal system of the country we're moving in. Why? Because according to the experience that the embassy has had so far, in order for a migrant coming from Mexico to get into Norway, you would need a sponsor. And mostly, I don't know the cases in Krisesenter, but most of the times, those are women that come with the assistance of a sponsor. And they're, without knowing that, they are a priori in a very fragile and vulnerable situation because they are dependent economically, they are dependent even for, in some cases, what we see is for work. And as you were saying, Christine, the relationship begins to evolve or the other way around. But by the same token, what we've seen is that the sponsor realizes the power that, in this case, he has on the partner. So I will not give you the credit card because she doesn't have an ID number. I will retain your passport. And we've seen some cases in which, again, we're coming close to human trafficking. So first, and again, this is what we call a phantom problem because it is not there until it is there. And when it is there, it's most of the time too late. And that's when they are running, looking for assistance, help, very, very frightened. So my recommendation would be first information about the legal nature of coming, well, in this case, to Norway.
Sure. Next one. Once that you're living here and find yourself in a violent situation, what's the first thing that people want to do? Or what is our rights? What is your rights when you are here and you are in this kind of
Then you should contact the crisis center. That's when we meet.
So it can be the first step, like
because then you can get information
there, or with police, or in this case, like even with people, like.
There's so many people afraid of the police, and sometimes this, the threats. You think that you are very vulnerable. You left your country, you left your family, you left everything, and you are here, and if you then are mistreated, like our people say, then it's very you are very scared, and you think that if you contact the police, what will the police do? Will they harm this man, or will I get thrown out? So I think it's very, very good. I think the best way is to get in contact with the crisis center, because then you can get information, and I think information to not calm you down, but then you will know your rights, which you didn't know from before.
Good. Yes, Escucha.
May I jump in again? So I'm just sharing the experience that we had as a embassy. We've noticed, Christine, that sometimes, especially with people coming, just initially coming to Noruega, they happen to have this problematic situation, and because, I will put it this way, the town is very small, everybody knows the person that is committing the violent conduct, and what we've seen is that in that context, the authority is very skeptical about doing something. I'm not saying that that's the case, but it is as if they were trying to cover for that person that is actually exercising the violent conduct. And at the end, you find that the situation keeps pushing the person outside. We don't want you here, so you go out. Without any guidance or without any comfort even. The person feels really battered. So again, that's only another kind of situation that we've been experiencing. And again, that's very difficult because the person is all alone. We've learned about the situation when the person is almost at the airport about to leave, if she manages to get a ticket. So again, I'm just signaling the kind of challenges that we've been watching and experiencing.
I just have one question, if I can.
Yeah,
It's just because now Christine told us, like, okay, first step, contact the crisis center. But in which cases should we contact the embassy? For example, in email, or not, or we shouldn't? Or
No, please. What we've been trying to do in our strategy is to provide information, and what we're doing here with you is very, very pertinent, very important. I think that information is not enough. Now, the system, the Norwegian system, probably as any other system, it's very complicated, very complex, a lot of doors. We have discussed this with the Norwegian authorities. So whenever a member of the Mexican diaspora comes into Norway, the first challenge is, what door shall I be knocking at? I don't know whether it is here, it is there. And again, we've had that experience. We've been trying to guide, or you should go here. Not always information is in English, mostly it's in Norwegian. So that's why, on the other hand, we are trying to strengthen our relationship with the organization at the field level. I forgot to mention Médecins Sans Frontières, the Doctor Without Borders, also is another organization with whom we have worked. Again, try to provide information. When can you come or should come to the embassy? Whenever you want, whenever you need, or you feel that you need some guidance or assistance. Again, it's really a very important thing to do in an event. Of course, and we have, thank you very much, we have an emergency number, phone call, but please, and I will repeat this, emergency only, because sometimes they keep calling us to ask for information that you can easily gather from the webpage. So this is just an emergency line for people that really are in emergency situation. Thank you.
Okay.
So, other of the question was, what if the abuser is not European citizen? So, will the Krisesenter help even if the victim is not Norwegian and the abuser is not Norwegian?
Yeah, we have an open door for everyone who has been who has experienced domestic violence. So when we check out what sort of staying permit you have, is because we will want together with you check out what kind of rights do you have. We meet women and we meet men who have been illegally in Oslo for the last 10 years. We meet women who are sitting in the streets, begging. They have staying permits, but they don't have any economical rights. So we meet a lot of people, and the common problem is the violence, but the violence might be so little because they don't have any rights there. So this is what we're working on every time. So we don't ask. We try everything to find solutions. And if you are here, you have a visa, family reunion with a person who is not from Europe but have a permanent visa, then we check it out. It's no problem. It's the same rights as if this person was from Europe. This about, I think, what kind of the social and the legal rights, we will check it out, but we don't stop you in the door, because that is always a problem. And people, even we meet so many women and so many men also, which actually they don't believe that they have any legal, social or economical rights, because they have been told so. But when we try to sort out, and we have a lawyer to look at it, our lawyers are so good when it comes to this staying permits procedures. So actually sometimes we find, we don't find, but we can find something in the system.
I think
it's
so.
always good to check it out.
Yeah.
Always.
So I think so. This question was, we have an answer already, but what can I do if my visa to live in Norway depends on my abuser? So you say you have like lawyers, like you go there and they will find a solution for you. So that's a good one. So then, and how can emotional violence be proven?
It's very difficult, and sometimes it cannot. But to prove it for whom?
The police, for example.
Yeah, if you want, of course, and that is difficult to get punishment for that. That can be difficult. But I think we are working on this before we call it victim. So we are the help. We are giving the victim help, and we are not putting the perpetrator in prison. This is two kind of different ways of looking at it. The police, they can do this investigation and see if they can prove it or not prove it, but most of the people we meet also in the Krisesenter, they are not, they want help and they need help, but they don't want their ex-partner to go to prison, or that's not why they
just need help to leave them or something like that.
They need help to leave them, and sometimes they need the police's help to to get protected. But to prove what has happened and put this person inside, maybe not. No, and the psychological violence is very, very difficult to prove, and sometimes a lawyer will not. I don't know if it's very smart to use 2 or 3 years of your life working to prove that your ex has been psychologically violent towards you, if the chances are very small, instead of maybe use the energy and your resources to build up a new life and get help, get psychological help or any kind of help, you need to be whole again, to live, to live a independent life after the violence. Yeah. Does that make sense? So many people think that to get help, I need to prove what he has done, I need to prove it, no one will believe me. But no, not at all. It's opposite. Everyone will believe her. So it's not that, but to prove it is something else. Because, so to punish, you need to prove. But to get help, you don't need to prove at all.
So talking about this topic, what things can be really reported to the police and what things actually not be reported? What is considered like, okay, you need to call, like only violence, like physical violence?
No, not at all. I mean, threats, I think the police now are concerned about serious threats. But usually when you are in a relationship and it's lots of violence there, and different kind of violence, it's you need help from the police to protect yourself with staying, what is it called? You don't need to. The perpetrator cannot get close to.
Okay, like a restriction.
Yeah. Or you can get an alarm and stuff like that. But actually, you can report to the police anything, which is also important to know. It's not the standard. You can report to the police, but that doesn't That doesn't mean that it will be a case, a court case, and so. To report it to police, not many, but it happens, when a mother and her children are coming to the shelter, like Oslo Krisesenter, emergently, it's been something very acute, and sometimes the father, who is the perpetrator, he's going to the police because he's pressing charges because he lost his children and his wife, and the police, they will take it, they will write it down, but it will never be a case. You understand me? But when you're wondering about this, if you have an ex and you've been psychologically abused, you can talk to a lawyer about it, and then the lawyer will sort out together with you the consequences. Is it because some people, they really want to report to the police to let it go. They know that it's very difficult to find proof, but I really want to make a case out of it, and I want this case to stay there because I want to prevent other people experience the same as I did. So the motivation for reporting also has something to say, I think. And a lawyer can always give you good kind of reflection, discussion around it.
Okay, I think so we have the last one for the people who follow us. And if I'm a friend of someone that I know is involved in violent situations, as friend of that person that I don't feel like ready to report, something that I can do as friend of this person or neighbor can be, like something that we can do for them.
Support, follow, ask what do you need.
But not like we can call like crisis center,
Of course,
or like I know someone that is in this situation.
That many
how the center is helping that this person.
You can call and you can get advices. You can get counseling, but you can also convince your friend to come to this conversation. I go together with you, and your friend will say, "It's not now. It's not really like. I don't. I don't want that. I'm scared. I'm afraid. No, it's not really violent. No, you can tell your friend about us, and you can convince him and follow him, and you can be there in this conversation. Because many people, they need that. They need.
Yeah, of course, like that extra help.
That extra push and also that extra help.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think so. That's most of the questions.
I think it's important, for example, talking about this topic, like they come in family reunification, and let's say this woman doesn't have family here, only the husband or the, I don't know, fiancé.
Yeah.
And they are really threatened, and I'm scared of my life and all that stuff, and I want to go back to Mexico. But I don't have money because I don't have permit to work. Is there a possibility to help them to go back to Mexico, like with the embassy or the Krisesenter or, I don't know, NAF, someone can help to get back, like, let's say it's a very poor family in Mexico and like economical situation is very, very hard. And she just wants to go back, but she doesn't know how and doesn't have help from no one. Can like the embassy or the state or the community can help in that case?
You want to answer first?
I can answer shortly. When we check out always with the embassy if this is if it's possible, but we can also check it out. We always check it out with now. We always check the economical opportunities. I must also say that if this is a woman and she has children, if this is really acute and if she's really in a crisis, we don't want to rush her back to Mexico the day after. We will talk with the embassy. We will talk them. We will try to establish her somehow, so she's aware and know what she's doing before she's jumping on that plane.
Well, answering to your question, yes, you can come to the embassy. With this, I'm not saying that the embassy will be paying immediately for the tickets, because unfortunately we don't have that in our budget. But we can figure it out the way to achieve the same goal. For that, we, as I initially mentioned, we keep working closely with other organizations. Of course, the ones represented here, but also the International Organization of Migrations. So that kind of very extreme cases, they've been very, very helpful in that regard.
Thank you so much.
I have another question. Do the Krisesenter or someone in Norway offer help to the perpetrators if they want to,
Oh yeah,
change or something?
of course we have something called alternativ til vold. Thank you for the question, because the perpetrators usually, for the victim, is not the monster, and we don't think usually the perpetrator is not the monster either. It's this violence in close relations can be cruel, it's very serious, but it doesn't mean that this perpetrator actually has some pleasure out of torturing his wife or his children or something. It doesn't look like that. So if you are in head of this abuser, it's kind of logical. Trauma, drugs, psychological problems, war experiences, need of controlling his partner. So it's so many factors. But of course, if a violent man or woman, if he or she wants help to kind of stop himself from being aggressive, they're not proud of what they're doing. So are there many opportunities. And when we have, if we meet a woman and her partner is acknowledging I have a problem, and she really wants to be, because most of the people come because they really want to be with the partners, but they want the partners to get help. Yeah, they don't want the partner or their ex-partner or the father to the children to go to prison. They want help for them. So it is very possible. Thank you for the question. It's an important one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone here has a question for Kristin.
Is there an age limit to be able to come to you guys?
Yeah,
Lower age limit?
you have to be 18.
Okay.
It's according to the law. Yeah.
I had a question as well. You were talking about even if you saw a situation that was really, really serious, what if we have the law of kids? What if it affects kids? You are not bound to. We
are bound to the exactly the same laws as everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course, If and that happens, but not often. But if mother and the children are staying with us, living with us, and there's extremely severe violence, and she decides, no, I want to go back to my husband, and I want to take my children with me. We cannot stop her from doing that, but of course we will involve the children's welfare. But usually they are involved from before, so it doesn't happen in this way. But the children is always first, and it's also we are bound to this avverge. I don't know what that is in.
Stop from happening.
Prevent.
Yeah.
If we know that there's we expect that it might be a murder there. The violence is so severe, it's so serious. We will consider contacting the police, like everyone else in Norway. So we have to follow the laws in Norway, of course. But we don't work that way. People are so afraid that when they're coming to us, we involve the police, we involve especially barnevern, children's welfare, and we don't do it that way. We work with barnevern, but that's to strengthen the mother or the father if he has never been lived alone with his children and is very afraid because his mother, she's coming, they're making threats standing outside the door. She's a huge problem for him, but especially for the children. It's a good barnevern. They will support in barnevern. They support everyone that is coming to the Oslo Krisesenter with their children. They get support from barnevern because barnevern will say, "Oh, we are so happy because you took your children away from the violence, the situation at home." So that's how we work. We are social workers.
And one feature, if I may, Christine, correct me if I'm wrong, but in our experience, one advantage that we found in a crisis center is that you're literally a network. So you're connected with, let's say, the crisis center in Oslo can be in touch with the crisis center in Tromsø or in Bergen. Well, that's what we've been experiencing, and that really is very, very helpful. So, another thing to add on many benefits of or positive things, of course, of crisis center.
May I ask another question? How long is a person allowed to stay with you?
It's really, we don't have a limit, but it's temporary, so it's not a home, and no one would like to stay there for very long because it's like a big building and small rooms. It's not a good standard. The good thing is that you get extremely much help there. So it can be everything from one night, one weekend, up to months. Usually it's in between, but we say that if it's a family, let's say, and a man and his 2 children, it will take us probably a month to get a stable situation, you know, economic staying permit, security measures, all this. And then it's a practical things. To find an apartment in Norway takes time, so it can be like up to 3 months. Yeah, but it's not like we have this limit, 1 month or 3 months. Everyone there, they want to move out eventually. So it depends on the security reason. Someone has to stay longer if it's really dangerous, but that's not so often. It's preventive to come to this shelter. It's like the abusers or the abuser's family or whatever. They now someone knows, and it's really preventive. The violence is, how to say, smart. I think Oslo Krisesenter must be one of the safest places to work. We know that violence in close relations happens at home or when there is no one else, because that's why it can happen. No one involves. It doesn't usually happen in the street. It happens at home. Him and her together, it's them two. No one involves. So a perpetrator or the man, the violent man, will not come to us and make threats. Obviously not. If he is coming to us, he will come with flowers and he will ring the door very, very polite and very sad and say there's been a misunderstanding and can I please talk to my wife and can I explain to you? Usually they don't come at all, and if they do, the police will come very quickly. You have good cooperation with the police. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Are you ready?
Not really. Maybe the ambassador would like to.
We are closing then. Well, since we're already speaking in English, I'll keep going and thank again for the initiative, for being here together, Krisesenter, for the support that you always provide to us. And just one suggestion to those who are watching us tonight, to keep watching the video, to keep spreading the word. The most important thing is to spread the word, to share information. And on the side of the embassy, please rest reassured that we'll keep pushing for this preventive approach, trying to reach out to you, trying to strengthen our network of relationship with other agents at the field level. And again, I think that if we work together as we normally do, things would be easier, faster, and especially most efficient and to the benefit of our connationals. So thank you very much for the opportunity, for the initiative, and we'll keep working on this and that.
Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.